Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Swain, and I am Ojibwe. I am the granddaughter of Tom Molyneux First Nations from Bear Island Reservation. I am also the Indigenous Youth Ambassador at GROW, and we are gathered here today on the traditional land of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people. This land is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. I'll now turn it over to Brian so we can start cooking. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. And again, I really appreciate Permaculture Live and GROW coming together this evening, and likewise the past 5 weeks now. Permaculture Live is excited to share earth care, people care, and future care through a platform that allows people to really create some resiliency in their life and ultimately be creative in what they want to do. And today we're going to use food to utilize that creativity. So today we're going to work on, it's probably the most familiar tasting tofu version of fried chicken or baked chicken that I've ever had. So I'm really excited to share this recipe with you folks. And I think if there's anybody that you need to share this kind of recipe with to kind of convince them that there's alternatives, this would be a great starting point. Now, before we got started, in the chat room, we had a little conversation about what's the deal with taking your tofu, freezing it, thawing it, freezing it, thawing it. I'll be quite honest, like it's always a little different. I do it different every single time. Now, I know what they're getting after is it's like they're just trying to make it really textury, create this texture that feels like it's meat. Now, I'm going to be honest, the way that we bake it and the way that we're going to prepare it, it takes care of itself in that manner as well. So if you only got to thaw it within a few hours, that's great. If you got to thaw, refreeze, cool, great. I can't say that I've had one consistent try at this. I've done it multiple ways. I was grateful that when we received our box from GROW, you guys already had it frozen. So mine came home, I put it in the fridge and then it thawed. I put it back in the freezer that night. And then you saw this morning on the feed that I pulled it out. So got it done twice. I tried to give you guys one little edge before we got started. So with that being said, let's get our ovens preheated. If you haven't done that, we're gonna go to 425. If you noticed in this series, I don't really fry the food. It's not that this recipe couldn't be fried. You can easily take it and put it into a frying pan, but I just find it messy and I'm like, I just want to be efficient. And so I kind of avoid it. And at the same time, it's healthy. So we got our pan set, our oven preheated at 425. Now, all you folks that are throwing together the ingredients, what you'll need at home, if you don't have one of the packs from GROW, is 24 ounces of the medium tofu, so 1 square. You're gonna need a cup of vegetable broth. You wanna do double strength. You can see that what I had done is I had taken half of a box of pre-made vegetable broth, add a bouillon cube, mixed it together and put my tofu in it. So that's how I got double strength vegetable broth. You can be making this right now while we're talking because it didn't have to marinate. If you didn't do that either, it doesn't have to marinate. So again, I'm trying to load this thing with flavor. That's why it's sitting there. So right now you should be having your tofu block out of the box after it's been frozen and thawed. Then you'll need the all-purpose flour, the 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Nutritional yeast, that's going to be a tablespoon. 1 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then you're going to put that all onto a plate, a low bowl or a low plate. I like to have like just enough. You want to be able to spread out the actual mix so you guys can get that stuff together. If you have the white pepper as well, that's going to be 1 teaspoon of that. You're going to save your crisp so that doesn't get open. Don't worry about that yet. So set that aside. You're going to take your flour, make sure all of that stuff, again, we're going to put that onto a low bowl or a flat plate, something that has a rim around it, so it keeps the flour from drifting away on you. So that mix is there. Now, with the tofu, what I would recommend is getting a plate. Find a plate that you can use and set aside, because we're going to start to break the tofu now into equal sized pieces. You might get 10 pieces, you might get 8, but just try to keep them into equal size portions, and be really gentle as you break it apart. Again, it's got the texture, but it's not as tough as an animal protein. I apologize for the siren that's going by my house. They must have heard how hot this food's going to be. So anyway, tear it apart and just put those pieces that you've broken off back into your bowl with the broth. Now, it says in the recipe that your tofu may actually soak up all of the broth that you have. I've never had that happen, but I guess it's possible, so they included that. If you have your tofu breaking up into little pieces, or there's smaller pieces that fall into your bowl, don't worry about that, because at the end, I'll show you, but you just get to collect those and make them into, basically, we're doing our own grow nuggets, and you can just push them all together and process that, and it sticks. So I've broken my tofu up into pieces. You can see those floating around probably in my bowl. I've got about 10 of them. I didn't really count, but now that I've counted, I have 10. So that's how it works. Again, just being gentle with that. Now, letting that sit there, you've got your flour, all of your other mixes, the batter that we're going to get together there. Now, you should have a bag of egg replacer, or what we got in our box was, sorry, it was egg replacers. It's 3 eggs, I think, if I remember correctly. Is it 3 eggs or 2 eggs? I have to look over here. You need to have ice cold water for that mix, okay? So you should either, if you don't have it yet, just go ahead and get that in the freezer, or get some ice cubes ready, because you're going to need that to prepare. Now, I've found that when I'm preparing my tofu, sometimes I put it into the actual batter and, again, lightly coat it. I've also discovered that I like to put my flour into a little bit of a, oh, what is this? I'm having a brain fart. In any case, I like to use this to dust my flour over top and spread evenly across things. So I've tried that, because then it gets rid of the collected pieces that are in the flour. I don't know what way really works. It's just however you wish to do it. I'm going to start with this for now. And then again, like I said, I may switch over to that. So I'm lightly coating this, and you can see here, this is a fully coated version. I'll let everybody else on the other webs see that. And I'm just going to set that aside onto a plate. I go for the next one. The trick, it can be to use one hand for flouring and the other one to retrieve or grab out of the bowl. So you can keep that in mind while you're putting this first coat of flour on your tofu bits.
So this is after your tofu has soaked in the broth, right?
Yeah, all you do is break it up, put it in the tofu, let it sit there, get the flour all together. It's already done for us if you had one of the boxes, but get that prepared. And then at that time, you can reach into the bowl and start to coat them. It doesn't have to be a specific length of time. I will say though, the longer you let it marinate, the more the broth will permeate into the tofu. And so that's the flavor you get. And I'm going to experiment with you folks tonight when we get to the end of making these pieces, because one of the things I have yet to be able to make, or I've been thinking about trying to make, is like a fish replacer. And so one way I've seen it done is simply taking pieces of seaweed and integrating it into the mix. So I've got a little thing of seaweed, little chips here. And so on the last piece, that when we get to the broken pieces that we have to actually squeeze together, I'm going to squeeze in some of this seaweed, and I'm going to let you guys know what it tastes like. If it tastes like fish, if it's got that fishy flavor. It's an experiment for me too, but I would be really, it'd be exciting, because if this is something that I like for the replacer of like a fried chicken or a baked chicken, it's not hard to imagine that this could ultimately be a similar effect on a piece of fish wannabe fish. So anyway, I have some pieces that are broken off. You can see I got one little piece here. Just set those aside, okay? You're gonna make a little pile of the pieces that are broken off, because as I mentioned, I'm gonna use those for part of an experiment, and you're just gonna use those to squeeze together and make a tofu piece. And try to shake off as much of the broth as you can before you put it into the flour mix. You just don't want it to get too clumpy. So again, the thing I discovered about tofu is it's really great at taking on the flavor of whatever you put it into, but you have to be, you have to really impregnate that flavor into it. So the richer the flavor, so maybe the more salty it is or whatever, it seems the tofu is a little more palatable for those that may not like the flavor as it is. So just sharing that with you, you can just keep that in mind. So I have a piece here that kind of broke up into about 5 little pieces. Again, I'm just going to bread those little pieces and make a pile of them, because, and you're going to do the same, at the end of all of this, we're going to take those little pieces and we're going to squeeze them together. We're going to make a big piece. You're going to make your own nugget, your own processed Wana nugget. So here we go. And then some of the pieces stay together really well. So that's exciting that they have the same shape. Anybody done battering their tofu? No? Okay, that's good. It's okay, Win. I'm just checking in on you folks. I'm not either. I'm about, I don't know, a third, halfway, 2/3 of the way there. So not trying to rush anybody. If you did the risotto last week, if you were like me, mine was taken out of the cooking process, I think just a couple minutes early, to be honest, because the next day it tasted better. And so to me, that told me that I had a lot of, I probably had a few minutes left of cooking still, probably 2 minutes. Again, I think that's what that told me. But it always tastes better anyway. It looked and had the texture that I was really looking for the night before, because I had let it sit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, I invite you to experiment making your own versions of risotto now that you've mastered the technique. Just in case you forgot, make sure your oven's on. You're at 425, because that can happen. Okay. So I have officially gotten all of my pieces breaded. And you're just gonna set this aside because this is what you're gonna use that plate with all of the batter, the flour that you have on it. We will use that with the next step. So I'm gonna take this stuff, clean my hands. Okay, I'm gonna start getting my egg replacer ready. Now, again, it goes into a bowl. The way the instructions say that it should look is a bit like a crepe batter, and I would agree. You're kind of looking for like a liquidy pancake kind of batter. Now, what I will share though is with maybe it's just this type of egg replacer, but I don't know. I think it's all over. The egg replacer tends to rise. It tends to bubble up. So we may get a texture that we want right at the beginning, which again is why we're using cold water. But don't be alarmed if it starts to grow or like, the texture starts to thicken. Just add some water, again, whisk it, try to keep it at that level of batter, the crepe, the really liquidy pancake batter. So just keep that in mind because it will want to transform. But let's get ourselves a tablespoon. I thought I had one out. Yeah, I did it right here. So for each tablespoon of the egg replacer, you're gonna put 2 tablespoons of cold water. This is, all it is potato starch and some baking powder and some other stuff. So to some people, they may say, oh my gosh, egg replacer. Ugh. And you're like, well, do you like French fries? Because that's all it is. So keep that in mind. So you're gonna put in 4 tablespoons of cold water. And you're gonna whisk that. That's what it looks like. It's pretty much done. Pretty easy peasy. Just looks a bit like a cake batter, huh? So I got that. I'm not going to use my second plate. I don't need it. I'm just going to get my pan ready for the oven. And I like to use parchment paper, but as long as you have something that it doesn't stick to, you'll be just fine. Take your breadcrumbs, your panko, you're going to put it into the flour that you had left over. So you're going to mix the rest of this into here. Now I want to show you guys something right away. Look at this is already, it was perfect when I showed it to you. And now it's already thickened. So you should all be, if you're using the egg replacer, you'll notice that it's already really thickened, okay? And that's okay. Just add a little bit of water. You measure that because it's going to be a little different for the timings that you started. But I am going to add just a little bit of water. Mix that in. And then this is the messy part. You're going to take your tofu, dip it into the egg replacer. Then you're going to dip it into the breadcrumbs. I have yet to mix my breadcrumbs, but I'm going to do that now. Mix it into your breadcrumbs. And then you're going to put it onto your baking sheet. That's what I would recommend. You could put it on another plate, but then you're going to still have to transfer it over to a baking sheet. So get your baking sheet ready. Get your egg replacer ready. Get your breadcrumbs and flour ready. And I like to set them up in an order, the order that I'll use them. My baking sheet here at the end. I'm going to put my breadcrumbs second to last. I'll mix this up just a little bit more. My egg replacer and my tofu. So there's my order. And again, keeping an eye on that egg replacer. If it needs a little more water, just to take off the thickness. All we're really using it for is to, again, coat it with the crispiness of the breadcrumbs. So this isn't anything other than an ingredient to help us keep the stuff together, to glue it together. So I'm going to start now with my pieces. I will show you when they're done. And I know this is sloppy. This is a very sloppy. So you either use your hands or use a fork. And again, any of the little pieces, they're fine. You just keep them to the side. And we're going to make other nuggets. So anything that breaks off, just set it aside because those will just be pressed together and into nuggets. Okay, so here's my first one. That's what my hand looks like. Just so everybody knows, it's not, yeah, exactly. This is not something that you come out of unscathed. You will get dirty. So just keep that in mind. Any pieces that break off, I'm gonna fork my pieces out so I know where they are, because I'm sure you folks are also experiencing that. If you have any pieces that break off into your egg replacer or into the batter, you can just scoop those out. Again, I'm just making a pile of them because they're going to be used for another purpose. We're just going to squeeze them all together. But okay. So like I said, my batter is really thickening up. This batter thickens up and it just has to be managed. So if it's too thick, it just holds on to the pieces. I'm sure you're figuring that out. It's okay, I'm just sharing that with you so that you're not discouraged, that you do know that this is a very normal experience that we're having. Okay. Yeah. Brings off my hand. Okay, how's it going, folks? How are we doing on that side? Yay, nay? It's tricky. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you for the thumbs up, Pam. ¿Cómo estás, Maya?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks.
good, good. Okay, if you guys are fast enough and you're ready there, if you have your pieces in the breadcrumbs, you can go ahead and put them in the oven. You need to set your timer for 30 minutes. And it's going to go in for 15, you'll rotate it, and then the other last 15, it should be done. So keep that in mind. You can set your timers, or if you are ready to put it in the oven, you may do so. It's going to be in there for a total of 30 minutes. And at the halfway point, you rotate them. So 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to show you guys what I have at the end, if you're there. If you beat me, that's great too. So I just have a messy right hand in a bowl or a little plate of just tofu that's kind of breaded, got batter on it, just random stuff. What you do is you're going to take that, you're going to mix it to, you're going to make it into balls, you're going to shape it however you want, put it into the breadcrumbs, and then put it onto your pan, okay? So don't bother putting it, I mean, you could put a little bit of egg replacer into the mix while you're making it into, or shaping it, but don't, after you've shaped it, put it into the egg replacer because it'll just fall apart, okay? So you're gonna see me now. I'll show you what I'm gonna do, because I, again, told you I was gonna experiment with this. I'm gonna put in a couple of pieces of seaweed while I mix up this. Let's see if I can get in front of you guys. Yeah, here we go. There we go. So I'll mix it up here. Mine will probably turn out a bit green. So I don't know if anybody's ever had frog legs, but they have like green veins in them. So the meat actually is a little green. It's kind of interesting. Anyway. So not sure I would eat those now, but I definitely tried it. Again, you're going to mix that into just paste, basically. You're making a fake McNugget. And then you're going to put that into your batter. And put that in the pan. Batter, and I shouldn't say batter, it's bread. It's breadcrumbs. Okay. So this is how I can differentiate. I made 2 rolls, little hush puppies kind of things. So there we go. Set those over there. My stuff is done. Definitely plenty of breading and flour left over. At this point, you'll go ahead and put those in the oven. I'm going to wash my hands before I do that. I can't do it right now. Okay. Now this is the time that you'll spend to prepare your other things for your meal. And I'm setting this up in for 30 minutes, 15 minutes each, so I can rotate. If you have any of the Frank's hot sauce from the last, from a few shows back, you can take that and you can get that ready because maybe you want to dip your tofu in it. Or I have some ranch that I'll probably mix together with it and like make a little bit of a spicy dip there. Kids like it with just ketchup. So you can try that. I won't be trying it with any tartar sauce, but maybe I'll get a lemon ready and see if that makes it taste good. The fish similar version. And then we're just gonna clean this up. So I think that's pretty much it for me. That's, as far as the tofu goes, really straightforward. I'd ask if anybody has any questions or they want to share anything, you can do so at this time. But for now, I'm at a stopping point, just waiting for my food to bake.
Brian, I have a huge amount of flour left.
Yeah.
What else can we do with it?
Okay. What else could you do with it? Definitely, as long as there's not, which I can't say that there is, anything that was protein based or was from the mix, if it's still dry, basically, you could keep it. I don't know what you can make right off the top of my head right now. You might have an idea when.
Mud pies.
So, I mean, what's that?
Mud pies?
Mud pies? Maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. We should ask, we'll ask the internet. We'll ask those that are watching if they have any feedback on what you can do with leftover breadcrumbs and flour from making a dish. Maybe it's out there. I don't know. Sometimes I think the best place is probably just the compost pile. But maybe I'm wrong.
I wonder if you could take something like zucchini and bread the zucchini.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
Also put it in the oven.
Yes, you could. Do you have zucchini?
Actually, I do, but I don't have much left over.
Oh, you. Oh, there we go.
You know, there's not much left from my side. I crumble it up with some leftover tofu and.
Well, you have to make probably 2 portions, at least 2, for your home. You got a lot going on there, so.
So I saw in the recipe about squeezing the tofu to get more liquid out. And when I did that, I pretty well ended up with mush. So it was mush that I put in my mixtures. And instead of having intact chicken nuggets, I've got blobs. Which I'm sure will be delicious, but that's what they are.
Yeah, I know. This is kind of the, I'll have to be quite honest with everybody. It's not the food I'm the most comfortable cooking, but I think that it's important. Like when I submitted originally to GROW a list of recipes, this was missing. And upon reflection, I realized that the journey of somebody that's going to be vegetarian or that wants to be vegan or whatever, vegan, whatever they want to call themselves, the reality is tofu is a bit of a staple in your diet. So I felt compelled to make sure that that was a part of it. You're absolutely right. I just feel so unfamiliar with it that every time I play with it, it's a bit of an experiment. Just like I shared with you today, I'm going to mix seaweed in and see what it tastes like. You're making like a nugget that's been processed at some fast food restaurant in your own kitchen. That's what you did. You pressed it together. And it should turn out just fine. It should still be very good and taste great. But I agree, it's knowing that if you don't have a group like this when we're cooking, how do you know you're doing it right? Like it just feels so helpless. You're like, oh gosh, this looks like a pile of blah, and it doesn't feel appetizing. So thank you for sharing that, Win. But I think your story is exactly why for so many years I avoided just even touching it. But I was like, no, can't do it.
Well, I do have a recipe for unchicken. We just call it hockey pucks. So the tofu is put in the blender, and it's got various onion powder, garlic powder, various things in there, and poultry seasoning. And then it's warmed up, and then you make patties out of it and brown them. And so if you put lots of cranberry sauce on, then you can convince yourself that it is a little bit like chicken. So it is a recipe for unchicken, and I make a whole lot at a time and then freeze them loose, and that's why we call them hockey pucks. And then if somebody in our house wants to have sausages or whatever, then I'll just take a hockey puck and brown it again on the frying pan, and that way we're both happy.
Wow.
It is another alternative to meat. They're so easy to do.
Yeah, I'd love to get that recipe from you. I've never even, I mean, it makes so much sense when you say this, like,
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think I have your, is there, when we send out notices, do they go to you? So would I have your email?
oh yeah, I'll be on the email list. Yeah. You mean the one from Grow?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'll send you a recipe for the chicken then, because it's very handy and it's nice. And like I say, if you put cranberry sauce on it, then it's just like the real thing.
Great. I'll make a plug. If anybody wants to say thank you for the time that you've spent with me, you can go to my website and you can subscribe and actually get my email list, because I would really appreciate that, because likewise, because of COVID and everything that we're trying to do, me specifically, and likewise Grow, anybody that's started an enterprise of some type during COVID, anything that you can do to support us would be great. And the best way for anybody to help me would be to go to my website, permaculturelive.com. And you can check out my blogs, go to the bottom of the website and subscribe. That's for those folks watching on Instagram, Facebook. Here, I'd really invite you guys to do that. And then you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Permaculture Live. And likewise, go to Grow's channel and subscribe, because I've been there and I've subscribed, and there's great recipes. I actually told one of my Facebook friends, because they had posted something the other day. They're like, I'm hungry. I'm getting ready to go home and make dinner. What can I have? And I was like, hey, you can go to this channel and you can check out these recipes, and they're really wholesome. And in fact, a few of them I got to share with everybody, and they were like, okay. And so this is a great tool for you to share with your social media networks, for your family, your friends, whatever. We know, I know, Pam knows, everybody knows how important the social media age, the digital age is, and getting people, getting traction, getting those folks involved with your community is key. So go spend time on my website, please. Spend time at Grow's website, their channel, their YouTube channel, and likewise mine. Spend some time there, because that is a fabulous way to support local businesses without even having to contribute to anything other than your time. And again, you can put that on a podcast style thing, put your earbuds in, go and listen to how gardens, recipes, food, whatever. This is great entertainment, and I would invite you guys to share it with everybody. I'm almost there with my time, getting ready to flip. How are you folks doing back on that side? 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Okay. So I'm gonna check mine. Yep. So we were talking about the egg replacer, and I'll just share, since we're having conversation about these different ingredients. These, in most cases, are foreign ingredients to our kitchen. I have to be honest, it may not be to some of you, and that's okay, but to many, many people who don't have food allergies, that don't have specific diets, the things that we're choosing to incorporate in our meals and what we're preparing can be quite foreign. So I often try to find things that I'm familiar with. Maybe it was a package of brownies, let's say. And on the brownies, they say, use 3 eggs, butter, whatever. And so I often say, well, I can probably take that same recipe that I'm familiar with and add the things like egg replacer or the plant-based butter and get the same outcome. It's true, you can. But as you just experimented and saw, when you use things like the egg replacer, that's not how an egg functions inside a recipe that includes eggs. You know that in the past, your eggs have not grown while they're in your mixing bowl. So you have to keep in mind when you choose to use something like that, how does it behave? And so I think it's really great for people to go out and experiment and find the ingredients that or the flavors that they're familiar with, but try to incorporate the other things, because maybe you have a friend or a family member that is allergic to eggs. Well, hey, here's the brownies that you really like, or maybe you haven't been given. Maybe somebody hasn't even done that for them. They haven't, people that have allergies or dietary restrictions, when they get good food, they're so shocked at what is being presented to them, because they're used to getting things that taste like cardboard, and it's very plain. And this is why it's important for us to share authentic, delicious, wholesome food like what we're having today, that can be accommodating to people's diets. If you're gluten intolerant, we don't have to use flour. We can use other types of ingredients or other flour types of familiar types of things. So I'm going to rotate my tofu at this time, wherever my oven went. Right. Okay, I'll let you guys see what I got going. Yeah, it actually is turning out exactly as it should. I'm satisfied to say that. I'm gonna rotate them now. You just watch while it's going on. You can smell those spices. That's delicious right there. I love it. For the last few minutes, I'm going to get my other things, just some broccoli, really, that off and going. Brian, is broccoli okay for dinner?
For you, but I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it? Okay. Hey. So what are you guys having on the side? What are you preparing in your kitchens? Let's see.
For me, it was a little different because I forgot to put it on the vegetable broth. I totally forgot that.
That's okay.
And so when I breaded them, I put it on the thing on the tray, but I forgot to put oil. So when I flipped them, some of them turned apart, which is fine. But I just made sure to spread like a little bit of oil so that they don't like stick, because I put aluminum paper, not parchment paper, and I
Okay.
forgot that I had
Yeah.
to add that. But they're in the oven. I'll just wait.
Good for you. Good for you. Persistence. It'll pay off. Don't worry. It's all
Yeah.
good. It's, you know, this is, like I said, it's all about, what's going on there? It's just about being familiar, confident, and ultimately prepared that it's not going to turn out every time the way that you want it to be. And that's okay. It's still going to probably, I hope it should still taste the way that you want it. But again, you'll find things, all of us will, that work better for us. And that's what is great about cooking, at least in my opinion. It's what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. There's plenty of people that say, I never would cook with parchment paper, but I love aluminum foil. Like, I'll put that on everything. I'll use it everywhere. Make swans out of it, all that stuff.
I forgot the oil too.
I'm not the only one then.
And
I'm not
it's
even
still-
sure, to be honest.
it's
To be
still-
honest, Maya and Win, I'm not sure is it even on here? I don't see oil on my, aside from frying. Aside
No,
from frying.
I forgot the oil too. It's in the recipe.
Really? I don't find it in my recipe. It must just be in the wording. Is it in the words, hidden in the words? Yeah, okay. That's why I'm struggling with it.
Yeah, under oven fry,
Oh yeah,
it says spray or drizzle generously with oil.
Oh. I
That
mean,
makes
maybe,
sense.
you know what I would do if anybody's got a baster, you know, the technique that we learned from the cauliflower bites, you could just melt some butter, put that on there, and for the last 10 minutes, it would easily turn that stuff golden brown. There's no, I mean, that will certainly take care of if we want to have that kind of color. Because why is that beeping like that? There we go. I'll stop that. Maybe that, I think that's what I'm going to do. If I forgot it, I'm going to do it. So I'd invite you guys to do the same if you want. Thanks for sharing that, Maya, because I didn't even pick up on the fact that I didn't even pick up, sorry, that I'm getting distracted by this oven that's got a mind of its own. I didn't even pick up on that the butter or the oil was in that frying method, but I see it now that I'm looking at it a little more closely. I just saw the bake and put it in for 425. I'm like, yeah, that's all they do. But I see it now. Thank you. Okay, so like I said, I'm just gonna pull out my stuff and I will baste it quickly while it's in the oven. I'll do that. See, I'm just seeing what happens. I forgot to oil them as we talked, so I will do that now. Okay. Let's see if that doesn't rescue what I'm trying to do here with you folks. So I've basted my pieces there. Okay. I guess if forgetting to put oil at the very last minute on the last show is the last ingredient I forgot, that's okay. That's funny. What are you making there, Win?
Our garden is producing wonderful salad things right now.
Oh, yes. Oh,
So we've got arugula, lettuce, there's dill and parsley and chard, and then I've got these special little pieces from GROW and cucumber. Oh, by the way, those little wee cucumbers my husband made into
oh, whoa.
dill
Are those pickles?
pickles. So what I'm making now is I'm just making a little bit of a honey olive oil dressing for the salad.
That's nice. I was thinking we should really figure out ways to spread the word on how to pickle and can. Like that would be a fun, accessible exercise, I think. That would be really great. So the other day I was looking, I mean, I've done a pickling myself a few times, but you know, it's always a bit too salty, I think. Maybe that's just my own experiment, but what I learned is how valuable apples were in Eastern North America, and that was in big part due to their ability to preserve, like, you know, the cider that would come. Most of the original cider that was made that would have been sweet, that wasn't alcoholic, unless you were actually at the press doing that collection of the apple juice that would you ever have non-alcoholic cider. It was always alcoholic or fermented, and ultimately that really helped us with preserving. And I mean, for refrigeration, what would we have been using? It was a great commodity to use for that. So I think it's a skill that I would like to explore more, and I think we should all, if you have knowledge that you want to share, Win, I would really be happy to hear more about that. I don't have a jar of pickles myself that I've made in my house.
Well, Cal makes pickles two ways. These ones here are meant to be eaten within a week. So we put the cucumbers in and wax in lots of fresh dill, and if we have grape leaves, he puts in some grape leaves. He makes up a brine with pickling salt and boiling water and pours that on. And if he can restrain himself, then he might wait 2 days, but it's not often that he waits 2 days before he starts eating them. And our daughter also is a pickle puss, so the two of them eat lots of pickles.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My brother used to drink pickle juice just like out of the jar, and I would freak. I'd be like, "Don't come to me with that pickle breath." No, it doesn't bother me, but I like it.
But I was reading about the fellow who was given the name Johnny Appleseed, who went planting apple seeds pretty well across the continent. So he was doing this not to grow Macintosh or Cortlands or whatever, but to get the alcohol. So most of the apples that grew as a result of that were not very good for eating, but they were just fine for making alcohol. So that was what counted back then, not sweet cider.
Yeah, there you go. The unknown history of apples. Who knew? Do you think he has a cousin named Yanni? Like Yanni Appleseed, like, and he's Italian, or?
What was the question?
I said, do you think he has a cousin named Yanni? You know,
Oh.
instead of like, and he's Italian. Like, I was just making a joke. I was just passing the time.
By the way, my fried chicken only has 20 seconds left, so that's why I'm like so impatient.
Oh yes,
Thank
there you
you.
go. I'm at about the 90-second mark, so we'll all be preparing, I guess, getting our plates ready to plate and show photos if we do that, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Okay, right now.
Hey, Brian, you want to get ready to come over for dinner? Yeah, or get your plate?
Right now?
Yeah, in just a minute. I'm just getting your stuff together. Whoa, that was a great catch, because I think that those ended up turning out pretty delicious looking. I have to admit, that's actually a nice finish to them, because this is what they would have looked like. So this is the bottom. I didn't flip it, and that was the top. So where I had put the actual butter on, and where I didn't. So it's not going to really make much of a difference at the end of the day, but it looks cool. It looks authentic. It looks like what we're trying to make, right? We're trying to get it to be as chicken-esque, poultry-like as possible. So, Brian, here, what do you want to eat yours with? Ketchup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I'll put some ketchup on your
I want to show you my tray. It's a little messy because it tore apart a little.
I want to see.
But here it is. It's
Oh.
a little golden. I don't know if you can see it properly.
That does look good.
I tried.
Doesn't that look good, Brian? Yeah, I think it looks good. Yeah, that looks great. Let's get you a stool. Okay, so we can take a picture. Okay. You guys gonna have some ranch and some. You want to try any of the one that tastes like fish, or do you just want to have the one that tastes like chicken?
Okay.
Would you like any hot sauce? No. Do you guys like hot sauce? I'll put some ketchup on here.
You know what's funny? Usually in Colombia, we don't have like hot sauce or hot stuff or like spiciness in food. Mexicans do a lot, but we're more like a mild type of cuisine. We're more going like for the cheeses, the sour cream, that type of flavor.
Cool. But you like, so but if the spice existed, it would be because of a a food that was in it, like a pepper or.
Yeah, like we usually don't use pepper and stuff. We do like not like black pepper or like white pepper, but we do use like peppers that are hot or like spicy. We chop them up and then we add it to the food. But it's not something that has to go with it. Like if you
Yes.
want it, you do it, but if you don't, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. Let's see here. Now I know that Brian said no broccoli, but no veggies, no dessert. We got brownies, so sure he'll eat. There's that. One. And would you let's come over here. Want to see what we got? Okay, so here we got. So we got our broccoli, and these are like nuggets. These are tofu. Okay, you like those? You've had those before. We're gonna let everybody put their stuff together. Do you want to start? You want to try? You can try your stuff. This is the one that tastes like fish. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. But you don't have any that tastes like that. Strawberry came out of the oven. Good? Let's see. It's not spicy. I don't think it's spicy. It could be hot. Sorry, I wasn't waiting for anybody. Pam, how did yours turn out? I see you nibbling.
I put, oh, sorry. Just go for it, go for it.
Yeah, they turned out good. I think they're a little too hot to try yet, but
Oh, wow. They look good, don't they, Brian?
so.
That's nice, yeah. I'd say those look good. Look tasty. What? You little bugger. I think you got some water here.
Yeah.
You know?
So I put like ketchup on top and it looks like this. It looks really nice. It looks really pretty and it tastes really good too.
Oh, good. Excellent.
I already took pictures of it. Don't worry.
I tried to make it so I could put mine back together when we go to do. Oh, that looks awesome, Lynn.
Oh, yeah, it's going to taste awesome too.
Yeah, I'd say so. What do you think of that, Brian? Yeah, you're gonna be quiet. That looks great, Wynn. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So I guess we can do a photo. We're at that stage. What do you need the butter for? You just like it? Like the way it tastes? Okay, here, we're gonna take a picture, Brian, okay? We're gonna take a picture. Can you hold your plate? Okay, we're gonna put it up here like this. So that people can see it. Yeah, it's perfect. Here, I'll help you. Here, just like
Okay, just waiting for Maya. Are you gonna take it? Or I can take it, Maya, if you
Oh,
want.
there we go. Look at that. Oh my goodness, look at all that great food. Mm-mm. Be money. You can stand.
Sorry, guys, I got 1 second. Sorry, guys, it didn't work. Okay. Screen.
Come on. Here you go.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys, I can't figure it out on this computer. Maya, can you try?
Yeah, I can do it. Don't worry. Just
Thank
put your foot on the
Yeah.
camera.
There we go.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's done.
Perfect.
That was easy. Thank you, Maya.
Okay. So I guess we can stop recording. We'll let I'll let the world know before I stop what my fish one tastes like, so then everybody is not in suspense. But to be honest, it tastes just as good as if I had bought a piece from the store, and they're not that great. So I'll be there. It's probably because it's just the fishiness, the like that flavor, how authentic it is inside of like other things. But I'm not going to eat seaweed in my tofu just because I want that flavor. But it works. It does make it taste like fish. It's just the texture, the other dimensions of it don't exist. So probably not going to happen for me again, because that box of tofu was on, or the seaweed I bought was on sale. So it's just been sitting there. This is a great way to try and incorporate it into my ingredients, but I'm not going to do it again. In any case, that's one way of trying it. And like, it's not because it's bad. It's just that it's not a flavor that I enjoy. This is easily just as good as if you bought it from a store. Let me repeat that. Like, I have pieces of wannabe fish from a store in my freezer, and this tastes just as good. So you can make this stuff with these same ingredients, just not a flavor that I'm after personally. So anyway, you got anything you want to share, Brian? Okay. What about you folks?
Oh, thanks so much, Brian. Go ahead, Wynn.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. I can't even say which one was my favorite. I made cauliflower bites again the other day, and the carbonara, that's right up there at the top, and the risotto, oh my goodness. So I can only say I hope that there's a chapter 2 in this story.
Well, we'll see. You know, there's never an end, right? There's only new beginnings. So we'll always have other chapters, let's put it that way. But they may, thank you for sharing that, Brian. They, you know, we'll see what they look like. I know that I'm excited to continue some partnership and working with GROW. So that's what I'm after. And I want to share with my community. And I see a lot of really great things that Faith, Maya, Wynn, Pam, Roxanne, Mike, all of you guys contribute to this community, and I want to be a part of that. So thank you for sharing and letting me enjoy what I do in front of you, and likewise bring you along on that journey. So Brian, do you got anything? Sorry, stuff slipped over my own feet. Do you got anything you want to share before we or Pepper, do you got anything you want to say? No, she's just like, I want some of that tofu. But
Yes.
what? What's up?
I'm eating cauliflower with ketchup.
You're gonna eat broccoli with ketchup? You like it? you know, I guess it's a win. So, all right, well, folks, I can't thank you enough for the stage, the opportunity, the platform. Pam, thank you, John, for letting me share this great journey. Again, it's been awesome. So, yeah, we'll let you go. And
Thank you enough either for what you have shared.
what's that, Paige?
I can't thank you enough for what you have shared too.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. You know what? I'm not an authority on this, and I don't want to be. I'm going to kind of go off topic because it's been on my mind all day, and I've wanted to say it, but I don't want it to be. I want everybody to be clear that I am not a voice of this, but it is a part of what I'm aware of in my world, and that is that. In light of the recent discovery in Kamloops and the 215 innocent children that were taken from their families and ultimately lost their lives, I think it's important that we take whatever moment we have today and moving forward and try to use our gifts to speak for those voices and the generations that will be ahead of us. So if there is something that you can do today, it is love your children, love your family, be grateful, and ultimately respect the world and the life that you are surrounded by. Brian, can you please stop that? Thank you. So again, just I want to reiterate that all of this doesn't matter to me as much as taking care of our fellow man and those people that are around us. So if you could take whatever gift I've shared with you and put it towards that, that's what I would like for you to do. So recognize, spend time with your family, honor those children and the others that we don't know about. And there's a lot of work and healing that we have to do as people and as a country and as a world. So people like us are important. People that we haven't met yet are just as important. So that's it for me. I just wanted to be, I wanted to get that off my chest because again, I've been thinking about it since I heard about it, everything that I've read. And again, I'm not an authority on that. I'm just sharing how I know that I want to live my life and I want to help others around me. So I think it's important for everybody to be aware of much more than our own little world that we live in and how connected we are. So thank you. That's all that I wanted to say. Again, that was the biggest thing on my mind. So thanks again.
Thank you, Brian, for sharing that. That was well appreciated. And thank you so much. That means a lot.
Oh, of course.
Because it's been a heavy heart for, I'm sure, a lot of our Indigenous community right now. And for, I'm sure a lot of our reservations that want justice for this. So thank you very much. So just miigwech, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brian and Roxanne, for bringing it up because it is something that's happening right now, and by acknowledging it, we recognize the injustices that took place and that are still continuing today. And part of GROW is being outspoken and aware of those injustices, not just to food and you know what are some of our marginalized residents face, but in a bigger picture too. So acknowledging it and voicing it is the first point, and which can lead to action. So thank you for that.
I mean, on that somber note, I don't really have anything else to do except to tell you to go forward and enjoy your food. That will, you know, we all know that food can bring us out of many things. And I'm not telling you to forget about this. It's just, we have to be aware. It's a feeling, it's a sensation, and being present is key. So enjoy your food, share that company with your families. And yeah, again, there's no sense in running from what's in front of us. We have to be forward thinking. And the best thing we could do, I would think, one of the most, if I could do anything, is not allow that kind of stuff to happen again. And to be aware of it is the first way of stopping it. So, yeah, I couldn't imagine if it was my children, and I don't want that to be. So, anyway, I'm gonna let that go. And yeah, it's been great, and we're gonna see each other all the time, every week at least. And we'll figure out ways of making more company, more exciting moments happen here and other places. So thank you again, and have a great evening. And tomorrow's June, so another month.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.